had to be all like Mr. Official, you know, asking questions and stuff. And then we did the skin dread thing. So I was like, man, this has been a fucking surreal day.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 5 today. We've got an absolute banger for you today. I just don't know where my where is my guest? I can't remember. Where is he? That man. I want that man there. We've got James Kennedy on today, so that'll be fun. We've not talked to him before. I mean, we've had a couple of guests on before where we've just talked to him a lot before, but we've got James on today, and it should be fun because we've got a lot of relating stuff that is going to be happening. Both going to be at Nosfest today. Well, not today, but I'm just fucking waffling. Here we go. Right.
Hey, dude.
Hey, brother.
How's it going?
Not too bad. What's up? What's happening?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Been looking forward to this one. So, how's it going? How's everything?
Oh, busy, man. Yeah, it's a busy time. Like my new book's coming out in 2 weeks, which is cool.
Yeah.
Busy with the band, of course, you know, which is always cool. Doing a new record, getting our asses off, podcasting. You know the grind, man. You do it yourself.
I well and truly know the grind with that now. It's chaos and a lot of graft. I mean, I've not even let this out yet, but the other two that I do the podcast with have left it, so I'm literally all by myself now.
Right. People underestimate how much effort goes into a podcast, man. You know what I mean? It's like doing the thing, the post-production, all that sort of shit, you know, like writing the blurb and all that sort. It all takes time, man, you know?
We make it work. I like I prefer doing it live like this because you get a lot of people's different, just a lot of different people come in and have a chat while it's all live. And then
it's such a rewarding thing to do. I love it. Like I've had so many interesting people on my podcast. Mine is like a variety of things. I do like some rock and roll stuff, but also like politics and activism and stuff like that. And I've had like professors and academics and whatever I'm interested in. It's kind of like the privilege of having your own podcast, isn't it? You know, it's like, I want to talk to this dude. Hey, I'll just get him on the show, you know? And some of them I've become like proper friends with. Some of my like childhood heroes, like journalists and stuff.
Wow.
They're like, now people like fucking hang out with this stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what it was like with me. And we had a Kerrang radio host come on, I think a couple of months ago. And we've been friends ever since. And he's just an absolute fucking legend. We got him back on.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. But anyway, about you today. So,
oh God, help
would you like to give us a nice little intro to your lovely little band?
Yeah, well, I'm in a band called James Kennedy and the Underdogs. I will explain the pretentious and egotistical band name to you if required.
That was going to be the next question, but let's go into it after you finish.
Yeah, it's one we get a lot. Yeah. We're from South Wales. We've all been in different bands in the past. I was in a band called Kaishira for many years. We did like 3 albums and did a bunch of touring. Guitarist Jack was in a band called Caned. The drummer Aggie was in a band called Ravenbreed, and bassist Elliot was in a band called Kennedy Soundtrack. So we've all been in a lot of different bands, done a lot of different stuff. So it's kind of like a South Walian supergroup of sorts, you know? We're kind of like a punk rock, political, energetic, fucking brash, you know,
awesome.
Fun band. You know, it's fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
Awesome. So obviously we know where you got one half of your band name, but where did you get the other half? Obviously, one half is just your name. How did you come up with that?
It came from the title of my first book. My first book was called Noise Damage, My Life as a Rock and Roll Underdog. And the reason we did this one as James Kennedy and the Something was because we've all been in collaborative bands before, and it's so like difficult when a bass player decides to leave 3 weeks before a tour or something. Then it means you've got all all cancelled at all, because then it's not the same band anymore. Then you've got to find somebody new, that sort of thing. So we did it as James Kennedy and the whatever, because that way the actual lineup of the band can change, which it does regularly. So we got a gig in Reading on Sunday. Our guitarist is going to be in Ireland playing with Ches Kane, so we've got a different guitarist.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, we had a different drummer with us on Sunday in Wolverhampton. So it's kind of like less pressure for everybody in the band. Like they got other commitments or whatever that they can still do without feeling like they're letting the band down.
That's
for me,
clever.
then, it's a lot of fucking rehearsals for me, man. But I mean, at this point, we got like 3 drummers, 3 bass players, and 2 guitar players. But it's like more chilled for everybody else then, because they're all in other bands and stuff as well. And the music that we're playing is an album that I did completely solo, called Make Anchor Great Again. So we're playing those tunes, so it's kind of like it's my songs. So I suppose it made sense for it to be like, as long as I'm there, then the lineup can change, you know. But we've got pretty much a fixed lineup that is like the main A team that's there 99% of the time. That's like the main one. But yeah, it kind of rotates. So the reason that's where the James Kennedy part comes from, because it keeps it fluid for everyone else. And the Underdogs part comes from the title of the book, because it was going to be James Kennedy Anthem. We had a bunch of options, and I put it out to the fan base, and I said, which one do you think sounds the coolest? And Underdogs won. You know, so
that's what I kind of like about bands and like all like the community these days. Like you give them a choice, like you can give them a choice to like pick something if you want them to.
Yeah.
And it's nice to keep them involved as well. I mean, we try and keep our fan base somewhat heavily involved. That's why I do these, because then people can send in questions, and we can just genuinely like keep it like with the whole. We're doing it with the community rather than just doing it for the community.
Yes, I think that's the way it is now, man. It's like with the internet and everything, it's changed everything, hasn't it? It's like, you know, you don't necessarily need a label anymore, like to be the sort of like the gatekeeper between you and your audience. You can do it yourself, but it is much more of a two-way thing now. Like the audience, the fan base, whatever, is part of it. You can have direct communication with them, but that's kind of how it works now, isn't it? You know, so I think fans that harness that are definitely doing things the better way, I think.
Yeah, of course. So, what bands or artists would you say inspired your sound of music?
Oh, loads, man. I mean, for this band, probably just like, you know, all the bands like from my era, you know, it would be like the grunge bands, you know, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins, Rage Against the Machine. It's kind of classic, I suppose. Maybe some Clash in there, the Sex Pistols, old school punk. It's mostly that stuff. I mean, I've been guilty in the past. I've done like 8 albums now. I did 3 of my last band. I've done 4 solo albums, and they're all completely different. So like the first 2 albums with my first band, Kaishira, were like very experimental, lots of odd time signatures. Like as if Frank Zappa was in Rage Against the Machine, it was that kind of stuff. And then my first solo album was all instrumental electronic music, like completely fucking the wildest stuff you'd ever listen to. I can't even listen to it. It's so fucked up. And then the album right after that was like all acoustic folk songs. So it's all over the map. So I kind of like, when I was establishing myself post-band to start a new solo career, I was like, right, you've got to put a flag down somewhere. Actually, pick a lane and stick to that lane, you know? So the Underdogs was sticking to the alt rock, hard rock, kind of punk rock kind of lane. And we're staying there.
Nice one. Are there any like venues or festivals that you've really enjoyed playing while being in this band?
Oh yeah, man. We did. I mean, we've only been going as a band 2 years, and we've had a really good first 2 years. To be fair, like the second gig we did was in Beautiful Days Festival, which is a big festival down in Devon, and it was fucking bonkers. Like we had, it was a packed out tent. And like right towards the end, everything was going well. The crowd were enjoying it, and then like a bunch of dudes dressed up as clangers walked in and started dancing, and then like in the crowd, we got all that shit going.
Fucking brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, it was wicked, man. It was like the whole fucking room was bouncing, and it was like, this is pretty cool. Not bad for the second gig. And then I texted my mate Benji from Skindred because they were playing the main stage.
Oh, awesome.
I'd say, hey man, we're around the corner. Do you want to hang out for a bit? went and hung out with Benji, and when they did the last song, they do Warning, and they did the helicopter thing. They were doing that on the main stage in front of 18,000 people, and then he calls me out to do the Jacoby Shaddix bit, the singing part.
Oh, fucking wow.
So I did that with them, Skindred, in front of fucking 18,000 people on the main stage. I stayed there for the helicopter. Finally got to do the Newport helicopter facing outwards towards the crowd, which is a totally different experience. And I was like, that's our second fucking gig, so that wasn't bad, So I'd say that's up there.
Fucking mental.
Yeah.
That's something that you genuinely should take pride out of. Your second gig that you ever did, and you ended up on stage with Benji from fucking Skin.
Yeah, it was pretty bonkers. Yeah, it was an intense day, that one, because we did have a gig in the afternoon, and then right afterwards, because I do a podcast as well, I was asked to host a kind of like a panel, a music industry panel. Literally 5 minutes after we finish our show, and we give a lot. It's a very energetic show, and then the crowd a lot, stuff like that. Fucking wringing the sweat hard, fighting his weight on my chest, and then I had 5 minutes to be Mr. Podcast host. So I had like the singer of the Levelers on one side, Tom Gray, the music industry guy, former Gomez member on the other side, and had to be all like Mr. Official, asking questions and stuff. And then we did the Skindred thing. So I was like, man, this has been a fucking surreal day.
It sounds like an absolutely surreal day, but it sounds so memorable as well. Like one of the biggest things that you can like do as a band, really.
Yeah, wasn't bad for our second gig. I was like, okay, we're onto something here,
Yeah, you got quite a few upcoming gigs as well that I've been seeing that I think me and you are going to be clashing at as well, because we're both going to be at Nozfest.
Okay.
I remembered that. Oh, that was our first ever festival that we did coverage for, and we've been invited back every year, and it is just such a great festival.
Wicked, man. How long have you guys been together for
then? This podcast has been running, it'll be 3 years in July.
Sick. And what about the band? How long's the band been going?
The band? I'm not in a band.
I thought you were in Tattoo Marley, or did I get that wrong? Okay.
That is completely fucking. I work with Tattoo Marley.
Ah, okay. Right.
I work. Their guitarist. What's it called? Their guitarist runs Hell Rockfest, and we're helping with him this year.
Right. Okay. I remember.
I know. Currently, I was about to say. Currently, I do actually look like one of their members. But back to you lot. Obviously, you're playing Nozfest this year, and which we've not announced yet, but we're in talks to potentially do coverage for Just Push Play.
Oh, sweet! Yeah,
really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But, what other stuff have you got on for the rest of the year then?
Oh, do you know what? I should have something in front of me, but I don't. You mentioned the two big festivals coming up, which is cool. Nozfest, Just Push Play. We're doing a gig in Cardiff with Shiraz Lane from Finland next month. What else are we doing? Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. We're doing Savfest in Leicester. There's another one we're doing.
We was meant to be doing that, but that's the same weekend as Nozfest, I believe.
It's the day before. Yeah. Yeah, man, we got a load of stuff coming up. You've caught me on the spot now. I should be more prepared, but I can't think. But we're getting around as much as we can. We did Wolverhampton the night before last. We're doing the Reading CC10 Festival this coming Sunday. And we're getting around a load of places. We just did a tour with Marissa and the Moths as well, which was cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we did. That was fucking fun, man. We did Plymouth. Where else did we do? Exeter, and we did one in Swansea as well. That was fun.
Nice.
We're keeping busy, man. We're doing some pretty cool stuff, to be honest. Like I say, only in our second year, but people have been very kind to us so far.
Yeah, that's great to hear. What have been some of your favourite bands that you've kind of toured with in the last 2 years?
Do you know what? Our first sort of 10-day tour that we did was with a band called Amongst Liars. Do you know those guys?
I do know those lads. We had them, I think, second year that we was a podcast, we had them on, and they were lovely as fuck.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, a great band, obviously, but I mean, they're just fucking hardworking, great guys as well.
Yeah.
They're really accommodating. and we didn't get to hang out as much as we would like. But you know what it's like when you're gigging; it's like ships and
Yeah.
flights, in different hotels. So we didn't get to hang out, but yeah, we really resonate with those guys. And I think they're a great band as well. They work so fucking hard. And we actually they did another tour earlier this year, and they did a stop in Cardiff and asked if we'd support them. So we were like, hell yeah.
Nice.
And so we did another date with them on home turf.
Awesome.
And yeah, just like I thought, yeah, these guys, you know, they deserve, you know, to go all the way, you know. And then obviously Marissa and the Mops as well, like another hard-working, very pro, very slick band, doing, you know, just doing everything a band's supposed to do if you want to try and make some waves, you know. Like she works her ass off, as do, you know, everyone involved.
I've been seeing that they have been like putting in so much effort, and it's great to see that it's paying off with the amount of like just like gigs and like the fact that they're getting out there and people are recognizing them. It's just amazing.
Very pro, man. Like just like literally, yes. It's cool for us in our kind of like young stage as a band to sort of like be behind the scenes, seeing how a band, you know, proper orchestrates as a well-oiled machine. You know, it's you can pick up a few tips, you know, because we're kind of like I said, we got a very punk rock aesthetic. You know, so we've only just now gone over to using in-ear monitors for like the past 2 gigs. You know, it's like you know, my past 10 years of singing has been literally just screaming over a monitor. You know, it's like, you know, we want to try and be the band that like we can turn up and if we're playing on a chicken pallet, you know, we'll still be able to sound good. You know, so that's kind of our aesthetic. So like seeing a band that's like super pro and super polished and slick like that, it's like okay, maybe we could step our game up in certain areas. You know.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. So you spoke to me, I think, a little while back about your book that's coming out, or it's come out.
Coming out 2 weeks Thursday, yeah.
Oh, nice. So what's all this about then? Because...
Well, in the lockdown, I had my first book come out, which, as pretentious as it sounds, was an autobiography all about me.
Okay, fair play. I might do that soon.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, I do believe everyone's got a book in it, but I mean, it's hard to actually start the thing and finish it. You know, so many people start.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's the same with podcasting. So I was very lucky. I wrote the book very fast because I didn't think anybody was ever going to read it. I kind of wrote it for myself. When my last band broke up, which I, you know, devoted 10 years of my life to, and I was taken very seriously. I had a kind of existential crisis to like, oh, well, you know, what do I do now that I'm no longer in that band? We did a lot, like a bunch of stuff, you know, we toured Europe and went to Canada and did some shows and headlined the UK several times and things. And yeah, we did a good run. And then all of a sudden, you know, we all broke friends and, you know, it all just imploded. So I thought, well, you know, what does any of this mean? That was, you know, like surely that all wasn't for nothing. So I started just writing it down. I thought I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. I've overcome a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
Got a lot of interesting stories. So I started writing it just to kind of get it all out of my head, I suppose. I can't even remember why I started doing it. But I finished the book in 2 months and not thinking anyone was ever going to read it. Very open and honest in it. And then, it got published. And it not only got published, it went to #1 on Amazon in 3 different categories. It was the #1 best-selling heavy metal book, #1 best-selling punk book, and #1 best-selling general music. And it was the #2 best-selling rock biography after Roger Daltrey, which was fucking bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah, so it kind of like, if I knew anyone was ever going to read it, I would never have been so honest in this. I'm like naming people, everyone's name is the actual name. I'm slagging bands off that fuck us over and managers and labels that screwed us over. So I think that was part of the appeal, you know. So yeah, like, and I was on the bookshelves in my local Waterstones and stuff, and yeah, it's been very well received. So off the back of that, I got a deal to do a second book, and they were like, well, can't you just write another one of them? And I was like, well, not really, because my entire life is in that last book. So they wanted to kind of keep the underdog theme, because my first book was kind of like a rock biography, but it's not a glamorous one. It's about, you know, what the reality of band life is like for 99% of bands that you never hear of, rather than the 1% that get to write biographies. So they kind of like that underdog perspective of understanding the music industry and life as a musician. So they asked me to kind of just like do another thing kind of like that, but not so autobiographical. It's more like the underdog perspective of life as a musician in 2025. You know, mental health, the venue closures, why we do this crazy thing in the first place. You know, how do we make the industry better? Do you need a label these days? You know, how to look after your hearing and, you know, and substance abuse and all that sort of stuff. So it's a mishmash. It's called Loud Medicine, Dispatches from the Music Industry Underworld, and it comes out on June the 5th, but it's available to pre-order right now. And it's just a kind of everything to do with life as a musician, whether you're a musician yourself or whether you're a music lover. Where are we at in 2025? What are the issues, the good and the bad? What part do we play as artists or as fans? It's a mixed bag, but there's just as much swearing in there. I flag off Coldplay just as much as I do in the last one.
So you slag off Coldplay?
Yeah. They're an easy target, aren't they? You know, they're not going to fight back.
It's pretty fucking generic.
Yeah, exactly. So I think hopefully it's going to be as fun as Nose Damage. It's just as ranty, just as sweary, just as kind of punk rock, I suppose. I'm proud of it. It was a more difficult book to write than the first one because, like I said, the first one I didn't know anyone was ever going to read, so there was a freedom in that. The second one, given that the first one was so well received, went to #1 and got a great press and everything, it was kind of a bit of pressure because I was like, oh shit, is this as good as the last one? Am I writing it the same way? And I kind of got in my own head a bit too much on this one. So it took a bit longer, but yeah, finally here we are.
Here we are. It'll be out in 2 weeks, did you say?
2 weeks, man, yeah.
I'll make sure to look out for it.
Oh, cheers, bro.
Well, we are completely done with the serious questions, so the normal press questions are completely fucking gone.
We rattled through that, man.
Here is where all hell breaks loose. So we've now got what I always deem in this section of the podcast as the fun and interesting questions.
All right,
this is the final leg of the episode where it just gets chaotic. So to kick all this off, if your band could have a mascot, but it has to be an inanimate object, what would it be?
Ooh, mascot and an inanimate object. Probably like a big stone middle finger.
Fair play.
Yeah. I think that would sum up our vibe, you know, you could put that on the table and they'd be like, oh, those guys are coming. Okay.
Fair play. that is very straightforward. You don't really need to expect anything else from it.
Yeah.
But I completely get that. It's very punk as well, that's a very punk thing to have as a mascot, just a middle finger.
Big middle finger. That's what we're all about.
So if you could put one of your songs in the scene of a film, could be like a generic film or it can be an actual film, where would you put it and why?
These are great fucking questions, man. Yeah.
We try. I'm not going to take credit for it. It was the past host that actually came up with most of these.
Yeah, these are good.
I just kind of nabbed them and just made them my own.
I think we probably have our song "Mind Revolution" to the opening scene of Indiana Jones when he's running away from the boulder. It's like a crazy double speed punk thing. I think that'd be fucking cool.
Awesome. That as soon as I heard speedy punk, like fast punk, in the scene of Indiana Jones where it's the boulder, that would probably make it so much better.
Yeah, man. Also showing my age a little bit, you know, like these references are all like, you know, fucking 90s babies, you know.
I mean, I'm not. I'm 2000s.
Oh man, you're a Gen Z.
Kind of.
Thereabouts.
I'm 24. I'm 23. Sorry.
Right.
But
Someone just put a comment. Iron Man. I've actually got my Iron Man glasses here, man. Just to these are my migraine glasses.
Oh, fair play. This stuff pretty straightforward. Stops you from having migraines.
Yeah. It's not a fashion thing. you know when I'm fucking not in the frame to have a big blue light in my face because I got those bad boys on. Normally after a gig or something, people are like, oh, you're trying to look like Iron Man. It's like, no. I'm just having a headache.
Health reasons. Health reasons. So, kind of relating to the last question, I say it's relating, it's on the same topic of movies. If they made a biopic about James Kennedy and the Underdogs, which celebrities would have play yourself and the rest of if you can pick out a solid like select few of the band?
Well, that's an interesting question because there's actually a script being written in Los Angeles at the moment based on my first book. And they're going to obviously, try and pitch it and get it produced and whatever, which would be fucking amazing. But they were talking about casting options, and they were talking about, for me, Ewan Rayon, the Welsh actor.
Yes.
Him, yeah.
He was in The Dirt, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He played Mick Mars.
He's a singer. He plays in a band anyway, and he's Welsh. So they were thinking of him as an option. I would have gone for Iron Man personally, but I think he might be out of our budget.
I was having trouble believing that. I was actually sitting there thinking, is he actually talking bollocks? And they actually got a fucking script coming along for this biopic.
Well, they're working on it. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't mean.
Oh, fair play.
Doesn't mean anything's going to come of it. I mean, if you start with the script, then you pitch the script, and maybe if someone's interested, they might buy the script, but then they might just stick it on the shelf for 5 years. If it even gets that far. So yeah, I mean, fucking the fact that it's even got
fair play.
Yeah, amazing. So
that's completely fair play. There, I mean, you wouldn't see anything like that happen to this fucking podcast.
Well, I tell you, man, like I've been doing music a long time, and I've had way more luck in books. Bear in mind, I've only at this point got like one published book. I've had way more luck in books, which is fucking bizarre because I've had, no training in it. I've barely scraped through school. Swearing every other word. So yeah, I mean, beginner's luck. So I think like when you get that little stroke of luck, whether it's in a band or whatever it is, they don't come along very often, that rare fucking breeze of opportunity. So I'm trying to kind of ride it as hard as I can because I don't get many strokes of luck, I'm certainly not in music thus far. So, but the first book, I mean, I don't know something about it. I don't know what it was, but it seems to resonate with people. So, I'm going to just ride that horse as long as I can,
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of just riding off of the fact that you've got, I can't even remember his name, but I know who you're on about because I've seen him in so much stuff as well. Because he's he's obviously in The Dirt. I recently rewatched, Inhumans. That was it. Marvel's Inhumans, and he's in that.
He was in Game of Thrones apparently as well.
He's in that, and he's in another series called Misfits, and I fucking love that series.
Looking at it now, yeah. They thought he'd be good because we were talking about like if it gets produced, they want to do it in the UK, so it's like authentic.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, a Welsh actor will have the accent down, even though my accent isn't that Welsh. But he already sings. He can play guitar, I think. So, and he's got a similar, he's got brown hair and stuff. So yeah, I mean, they haven't asked him, but that's what they were thinking of putting in the pitch.
Kind of pitch in.
Yeah.
Fair play. Fair play. I would definitely watch that film.
yeah. Well, you definitely relate to the book as well. I mean, you've been around the life, so I mean, like, just living in a transit van, showering with bottled water in car parks and stuff like that, and fucking falling out with your bandmates, it's all
exactly
that stuff. Yeah.
So we're now going to move on to a question that is held dearly, and I mean dearly, to my fucking heart, just because of how out of just left field it is. We've got this question on the it's just on all the live stuff as well, so when we do coverage, it's one of our staple questions, and everyone has the same reaction to this question because it's just so left field. What's your go-to meal deal?
My go-to meal deal?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty boring on that front, to be honest, man. I'm pretty straight down the middle. It would be like a, quarter pounder and fries, that'd be my meal deal, Yeah.
Easy.
Simple, classic. You know what I mean?
Easy stuff.
The other boys in the band and lady in the band, they're a bit more experimental. Aggie, our drummer, she's a vegan. So her choices are somewhat limited. But Jack and Elliot, they're the real connoisseurs of the late night, petrol station meal deal.
Oh,
Um,
brilliant.
yeah. I'm straight. I tend to avoid that shit if I can, but it's always after a gig, late night. And I'll always just go for like, yeah, just give me a big ass burger and some fucking
Big
fries.
fucking burger.
Yeah.
Easy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we've somehow in half an hour I've managed to make it to the big final ending bit. So I think we've kind of lacked on it the last couple of episodes. So we ask every band that come on to make a dream, like what I'd call a dream team band.
Hmm.
So it's basically you make your own little band with like a load of different other bands.
Okay.
You get to pick and choose all your different like uh, fundamentals of band, like your singer, your guitarist, your bassist, and your drummer, and all that. You get to pick whoever the fuck you want. Anyone dead gets brought back to life, and you can be in the band if you want.
Oh, bro, yeah, I'm down for that, man. So it can be dead or alive.
Yep.
Oh, okay, perfect. Most of mine
So
are
it's
fucking
literally fair play. I was gonna say it's literally just mixing and matching band members from different bands into one
Love
big
it,
band.
love it. Well, vocals straight out of the gates, I think would have to be Chris Cornell.
Oh
Um,
yes.
I mean, you're pretty covered there.
I think the first time I ever listened to Chris Cornell wasn't on like one of his own songs. It was on Slash's album, and that is an album that I love. I love that album a lot, and
He's a badass.
hearing that song was just it was amazing.
Yeah, he's a badass, man. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I'm never a massive Soundgarden fan, to be honest. Of the grunge bands, I was much more Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, and Alice in Chains and
yeah.
stuff. But I mean, just that voice, fuck me. It's times. I
It's
mean,
got
either
a
Cornell or
fucking
Jeff Buckley. But I think, Chris, I would probably go to because for the rock edge.
yeah.
So vocals, Chris Cornell. It's a great question, man, because there's so many options, like, in there, you know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
If it's alive or dead. Um, hmm. Bass, maybe. I'm trying to think what would be an interesting combination. Maybe Lemmy on bass.
Oh, yes.
Because now
It
you've
would
got the
be
fucking
it would
powerhouse.
be very odd, but
Yeah, yeah,
it would probably sound good.
yeah. Well, I mean, everyone else is going to have to fucking up their volume to try and get over the top of it. So I'd love to hear Chris
Also,
Cornell.
backing vocals as well.
Okay. Shit, man, this is too fun. Okay, it's like a 10-piece band. Um, Drums.
We've had bands like that. We've had bands with like choirs in them before.
I would say one of my favorite drummers is RJ Hill. Hailstorm. I think he's a great player.
Yes.
I mean, he's got the chops and he's got the flash, but he's also a great band player, which is hard to find. Those are flashy musicians, but he can lock it down as well.
He's also got comedically large
Yeah,
drumsticks, which
yeah.
is a positive.
And he can do the bounce and the stick in the air thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is, that's an important part of playing drums, of course. I like RJ. I think he's a solid band player.
Yeah.
But he's got the moves as well. I mean, there's guys like Mike Portnoy who are like technically incredible, and fucking Joey Jordison. But I mean, for me, it's the sort of music that we do, and certainly for the sort of dream band we're putting together with Lemmy on bass, we don't need that kind of dexterity. I think RJ can
Yeah.
fucking keep it driving with Lemmy. Chris Cornell on top. Guitars, man. Do you know what? Someone asked me in another interview I did, like, we were talking about like the best riffs ever, and it was a really hard question because there's so fucking many like iconic classic riffs. But
Yeah.
someone who that came up in that conversation that I think is consistently amazing at just writing fucking iconic riffs would be Tom Morello.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, straight away that's Tom Morello, and just like you can
Yeah,
sing the
exactly.
lyrics. They're funky, they're heavy, they're sexy. But I mean, we don't want it to sound like Audio Slave. We've already got Chris Cornell, so
Yeah.
Do we go Tom Morello or do we get somebody else? I don't know.
It's all up to you.
Fuck, this is. I feel like I'm on the spot now. I'm conscious of not taking too long, but shit, guitar players. Oh, if I'm honest, and just going with my first option, I think I'd go with Tom Morello because he's funky.
Easy choice.
He'd blend well with Lemmy. You know, that'd be a driving fucking rhythm section.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my stripped down. That would be like, keeping it lean, rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, that,
Easy
yeah,
four piece.
yeah, the classic.
Nice one. I mean, that is probably, in all honesty, one of the best bands that I've probably heard, like heard on this podcast. And we've had some absolute fucking mental ones.
What was the most mental one?
Oh God. It weren't like mental, like it was just like bizarre.
Right.
Because none of them were actually, they were all fictional basically.
Yeah.
And it was Ben from Collateral, their drummer. And he just picked like a load of like film characters. I think he picked Shrek and just picked like a load of random characters. And he just put that together and was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
take that." But yeah, that was pretty fucking bizarre. But there was another. What was the other one? There was another one where it was South of Salem as well. South of Salem had a mental one. But then I've noticed ever since then, a lot of people have been putting Gigi Allen in their bands for some strange reason.
I wouldn't have him in my band.
Fair play.
I wouldn't have him in my band. Just because he's fucking crazy, I'd be like, nah, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Fair play.
Stop throwing shit at Lemmy. Come on. You got a god in front of you. Put your fucking... Come wash your hands.
Exactly. So, we've reached the end of those questions. Now, I usually allocate this final bit of the podcast to promoting anything that you want to promote, or if you want to shoot a question or two over at me, I'm not really bothered about that, but it's more to just try and get you out to all of our lovely little fans.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, well, basically, the main thing at the moment for me is my book, Loud Medicine, which is coming out on June the 5th. It'll be in all bookstores, you know, online, Amazon, Waterstones, and physical as well. It's distributed in the UK and the US. Physical hardback. There's a digital. It'll be out on ebook and there'll be an audiobook as well. So Loud Medicine, check it out if you have any interest in music, whether you're in a band or whether you're a music fan, music lover. I think you'll like the book. And also come and see James Kennedy and the Underdogs, man. You know, we got a pretty fun live show. Whether you're into the music or not, we always have a good time. And yeah, you can stay in touch with us on all of our pages at And the Underdogs on Instagram. Just type it into Facebook, all that shit comes up. Or you can follow me directly on Instagram at jameskennedyuk. And I put all the band stuff on there, book stuff, and the podcast that I do as well, which is probably not as fun or as rock and roll as yours. But but if you're interested in, like, you know, social issues and shit like that, then yeah, you might like it.
Fair play. But I do just want to ask this, because I know they usually get someone voicing someone on audiobooks. Have they got anyone voicing you, or like voicing the whole audiobook? Or is it
No, I did the last one myself, and I got to be honest, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. It took me a week just because of the way I talk. You know, you got to enunciate properly, and you got to keep the same energy, because like one chapter could be like, it can last for 40 minutes, you know. And if you just read it straight for 40 minutes, your focus tired, you know, your energy goes down. So keeping that energy up for every chapter, which is like an hour, 40 minutes each, it's quite hard. I found it quite difficult, but being the stubborn prick that I am, I'm doing this one myself as well. So it will be me, yeah.
I was going to say, just get Benji to do it. Benji reading your fucking book would be mental.
That would be fucking brilliant. Well, it took him a year to read the first one, so I wouldn't hold my breath for him to finish the second one.
Did he enjoy it, though? That's the real question. Did he enjoy it?
He did, and he very kindly gave me a quote, which is on the back cover of this one as well. So on the back cover, there's a quote from Mr. Webb himself, picking the book up. So yeah, so a fine endorsement from a man that knows what he's talking about, I hope.
Fair play. Well, on that lovely little note there, James, thank you so much for coming on today. It was an absolute pleasure. Obviously, everyone should just go and follow this man and his lovely little band on all their social media. and just have a nice day. I've been Tom. I never sign off these episodes ever. It's just because we've started putting them up on fucking YouTube,
Right.
and I've sat there thinking I might as well just start doing like somewhat of a little outro.
Yeah.
Why not? So anyway, I've been. Why not? So I've been Tom. This has been James Kennedy. I will see you all next week.
Thanks for having us, man.